Oh, well, it's a 10th journal video. This one is near and dear to the heart. Being a military veteran, retired now, things and ideas that relate to negative um, aggravate me more. So this particular one is a photo bucket. Somebody had posted. Basically, you click on the link, but you can see it. It says, "Are you in the military? Then you're a welfare queen." And it says, "We taxpayers feed, clothe, and house you. We pay for your medical care and your benefits while you chase imaginary WMD, sing stupid songs, and slam your things together. You haven't protected, in red letters, you haven't protected the U.S. from us, from a legitimate threat in over 50 years," and got a guy with a middle finger sticking up. This aggravates me, like I said in my journal, that I'm a taxpayer too. I pay my taxes. I've paid my taxes since I was 16 years old, when I work. So, I worked for jobs 16 years old, and I pay taxes, 17, 18, 19. I enlisted when I was 17, so I've paid taxes my whole life. So when I see things like this, it really upsets me and aggravates me, makes me upset. As an American soldier, a service member, and now a retired veteran, I chose to join the military. Then there's other items out there, soldiers are murderers. Rush Limbaugh's another one. He started the whole welfare queen moochers thing. And he hasn't served a day in his life, but he still comes on like he's top of the power and knows everything about the military, whatever. Really, he's just the same as he is what he's calling us, a coward, somebody that doesn't know but just wants to get his name out there. Sad thing about it is media nowadays is portrayed as negative. Everything's negative, nothing good. The war in Iraq, Afghanistan, it's unrelenting that we've been over there so long and we're still going over there and we're still dying. Leaving our families for extended periods of time, not knowing whether we're coming home or not, it takes a toll. However, we know we were joined voluntarily, and we knew it could happen. It's no different than here in the U.S., gunshots, drive-bys, drug addicts, whatever. People die daily here in the U.S. more than it does soldiers across the ocean. The statistics are higher for someone, outside of the military dying from a military incident versus something just happens, in everyday life. So to say things like that is, something that hits a nerve and strikes home. I don't necessarily think it should be directed toward the soldiers. Maybe, some of the ideas or concepts that have been brought about. I agree. Some of the systems that we have in place need to be changed or we reworked. For instance, welfare. I'm not against it. If you need help, I'm glad the system's there to help. But there are those that abuse the system, that are able to work, that are able to do everything that anybody else is able to do, join the military included. They choose not to, though. They want to live off the system. They don't want to get a job. They want to go to places. They have to go fill out applications. 5 times a month or whatever. So they go to places they know they aren't hiring. They fill out an application. They're not hiring, so they're not worried about getting called because they're not hiring. And then they turn those in and they get their next check or the next food stamps or next medical care. So those are the people that are actually abusing the system, not the soldiers. I still pay for my medical. I still pay for my dental, even though it's free. I still pay for it. It still pays in my taxes. So for that to be, out there, I don't agree with it at all. Uh, you know, Soldiers Are Murderers is another one's out there at warcrimes.com. Yes, it could be true, and then again, maybe not. To me, murderer is someone that goes out there intentionally, knowingly wants to kill someone. Um, you know, I've been deployed many times, and I never intended, hey, I'm going to go kill a person. I'm going to go kill an Iraqi or Afghanistanian or whoever. If put in the situation when we're receiving fire, yeah, we're going to fire back. Basically self-defense upon yourself. We don't still go out there and just kill anybody we want or shoot anybody we want. Shoot first and ask questions later. That's not what it's about. But that's what these websites are portraying, that we're just doing it just because we want to go kill people. Not the case. 90%, 99% of the soldiers that I know, there's always that 1% out there that do crazy things, like the Major Hassan in Fort Hood, for instance, and the WikiLeaks and all these other whistleblowers, they're protected by citizens' rights. Some of the things they do is out there that doesn't really get portrayed as what it is. It's still it's our true whether we want to pull the trigger or not. However, as if anybody, if you're getting fired upon, of course you're going to fire back. And a lot of times the bullets happen to hit their targets because that's what we're trained. But there are other groups out there that do that for a living. Mercenaries, they go out there and here's your person, this is who you're going to kill, and you go kill them. Then when you're done, you come back and get another mission. But that's not the way the military is set up or even brought about. So there just needs to be change in the system completely. Understanding the rights, like I had posted in my journal. Some of the rights, once you infringe on somebody else's rights, then your rights end. There's Code Pink out there. That's another group, more on the peaceful side for sure. Haven't heard anything or read anything that they were in some type of damaging propaganda or anything, where they were actually hurting people. But there are others out there that have hurt soldiers, their families. Stationed in California, San Mateo, Berkeley, recruiting stations were shot up, rocked, cars vandalized, of recruiters, there in the area. Basically not our choice to be there either. This is where we're told to go, and this is where our station is, so that's where we work. We're there professionally, and that's our job to get people to enlist in the military, and that's what we're there for. Whether people like it or not, they have their choice, and some of them choose to go above what they're entitled to. To me, that's not right at all. And in some cases, yes, they're, in our terms today, would be terrorists. Homeborn terrorists. They cause the same thing: damage and destruction. So it doesn't have to be an Iraqi or a Muslim or anybody else. It's just their actions make them that. It's a pretty well hit home idea that it needs to change. Totally needs to change. Rush Limbaugh again. Everybody, Rush. I don't really care for him at all. I think he's, egotistical and he's full of himself. That's what I believe. He's been against everybody and been against everything. That's just what makes him who he is. You know, um, you know. In this particular article, he was referring to someone that was military, but wasn't military on the phone until he mentioned it. Basically, this guy called in. It was about President Obama's signature Affordable Health Care Act. So the guy called in. He said it was a crowning achievement for the Obama administration, you know, and it helped the poor and the middle class. But he identified himself as an Army Master Sergeant, and that right there just sent Limbaugh crazy. You know, he goes into, well, you know, thank you for the call, thank you for your support or for your service. I really do, but you've exposed yourself. You know, pretending that he wants the government to take care of everything. You know, Band-Aids and free medicines, whatever else. But it's not free. We've paid for it. We've done our due diligence, and it's what we have a right to. Even as taxpayers, you know, Rush Limbaugh thinks of as he's a rich elite. You know, no one can hurt him or whatever, harm him. But you know, many people, white collar workers, you know, we're making just minimum wages. We're still surviving. We have families. We provide for them. You know, and he's sitting up here in a high dollar studio, just condemning and putting down whatever we're doing. He goes in later in the interview, and he brings it back to old school. You're talking about the notice in the younger service members supporting the president. You know, before in the Vietnam era, etc., the young men stood out against those things. You know, their wives stayed home, cooked, babies, cleaned the house. You know, and the guy did all the work. And that's, you know, what he was portraying to everybody else. Basically, nowadays, everybody's raised on Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street, PBS. That's what we get our information from, and how we learn. You know, but that's not the case. You know, it's just that's just who he is. There's a lot of sites out there that comment on the welfare of Queens, whatever else, you know. But this is not the way it is, and you know, and if people have the right to feel that way, and it's understandable, and they can do that. But let's have some class and charisma about it. You know, there are men and women out there that didn't come home. It wasn't their choice, but they didn't. You know, and by doing things like this, it shows bad and portrays negativity. You know, shows some class and respect. You know, it's something that you can't do. You know, and that's the way I feel about it. For all the naysayers. You know, very few of the population can even join the military. So, you know, the few that can are the brave and the proud. You know, and then we have a lot of supporters out there that believe in what we're doing and thank us every day and mean it. Not the lip service Rush Limbaugh does. Oh, we thank you for your service, but you're still a moocher. You know, but yeah, that's my video. Talk to you later. Have a great one.